Taiwan Park stared out the viewport as the transport shuttle approached asteroid KX 427. The desolate rock shouldn't have been noteworthy, yet it housed one of the Galactic Coalition's most secretive outposts. As the Coalition's most talented human mechanic, Taiwan had fixed everything from quantum drives to planetary defense systems, but this assignment came with an unusually high payment and even higher security clearance. Human Park, prepare for docking, announced the automated system. The shuttle shuddered as it connected with the airlock. When the doors slid open, Taiwan was greeted by a slender, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms and large, unblinking eyes. "I am Director Kang. Welcome to Research Station Epsilon," the alien said in the formal tone typical of the Xilarian species. "Your quarters have been prepared. You will begin diagnostic procedures at 600 station time." "I was told this was urgent," Taiwan replied, hefting his toolbox. "What exactly am I fixing?" Director Kang's outer eyelids flickered. "Station-wide system failures, power fluctuations, environmental anomalies. All attempts at repair have failed." As they walked through the corridors, Taiwan noticed the station was operating with minimal personnel. The few aliens they passed, mostly Xilarians and reptilian Draxians, averted their gazes when they saw him. "Where is everyone?" Taiwan asked. "Non-essential personnel have been evacuated," Kang replied tersely. "The malfunctions have made certain sections unpredictable." That night in his quarters, Taiwan reviewed the technical schematics he'd been provided. Something wasn't right. The power distribution network showed modifications that didn't appear in any standard coalition designs. And why would a remote research station need enough power to sustain a small city? Sleep evaded Taiwan as questions swirled in his mind. He got up and paced the small room, then decided to take a closer look at the station. No one had expressly forbidden him from exploring. The corridors were dimly lit during night cycle. Taiwan's footsteps echoed as he walked, toolkit in hand, as his excuse if anyone questioned him. He passed through the main hub, noticing how the layout seemed designed to hide rather than showcase the station's true purpose. A slight vibration ran through the floor, too rhythmic to be random. He placed his palm against the wall, feeling the pulse. Following the sensation led him to a sealed door marked with Xilarian symbols. His translation device rendered it as primary research section, authorized personnel only. Just as he was considering how to bypass the lock, the door slid open. A young Xilarian nearly bumped into him. "Oh, you startled me," said the alien. "You must be the human mechanic." "I'm Su Bin, Junior Research Assistant." "Taiwan Park," he replied, surprised by the friendly tone. "I was exploring the station to better understand the systems I'll be working on." Su Bin glanced nervously down the hall. "You shouldn't be here during rest cycle. Director Kang is very strict about protocols." "The vibrations led me here. Something's causing power fluctuations from behind this door." Su Bin's 4 hands began fidgeting. "Those are from the containment fields. They've been unstable since we increased power to the artifact." "Artifact?" Su Bin's eyes widened. "You don't know. But why would they bring you here if—" The young Xilarian stopped mid-sentence as lights flickered overhead. "I've said too much. Please return to your quarters." Taiwan nodded, but made mental note of everything. Back in his room, he couldn't sleep. He pulled out his personal data pad and began making notes about the station's irregularities. Morning came quickly. At exactly 600, a chime sounded at his door. A Draxian security officer stood outside, scales glistening under the harsh lights. "Human Park. Director Kang requests your presence in Control Center 2. The Control Center was a large room filled with monitoring equipment. Director Kang stood before a massive display showing the asteroid's interior. "You've reviewed the schematics?" Kang asked without greeting. "Yes, but they're incomplete. The power requirements don't match what I'm seeing." Kang's expression remained unreadable. "You were selected for your technical skills and your discretion. This station's true purpose is classified at the highest level. Hard to fix systems when I don't know what they're for, Ta-1 countered. After a moment's hesitation, Kang gestured to the display. Very well. This asteroid contains something discovered 50 years ago. Technology from a civilization that predates all known spacefaring species. We call it the artifact. The display changed to show an object that defied easy description. A metallic structure with geometric patterns that seemed to shift as Ta-1 watched. It produces energy we barely understand, Kang continued. Recently, it began activating. That's when our systems started failing. You think it's causing the malfunctions. We believe it's responding to something. Our priority is maintaining containment while we study it. Ta-1 studied the display. I'll need access to all areas affected by these power fluctuations. Granted, with supervision. This is Su-bin, who will assist you. Kang gestured to the young Silurian from the previous night, who looked nervous. As they left the control center, Ta-1 noticed Su-bin avoiding eye contact. You knew I wasn't supposed to know about the artifact, Ta-1 said quietly. Director Kang rarely shares information with outsiders, Su-bin replied. Something about you must be special. Their first task was repairing environmental systems in Section 8. As they worked, Ta-1 asked casual questions about the station and its research. How long have you been studying the artifact? Su-bin hesitated before answering. The station was established 20 years ago. I've been here for 3. And it only started causing problems recently. About 6 months ago, after we. Su-bin paused, 4 hands working nervously, after certain tests were conducted. Before Ta-1 could ask more, alarms blared through the station. Red lights flashed in the corridor. Containment fluctuation in progress, announced the station's eye. All personnel report to designated safe zones. Su-bin's skin paled to a lighter blue. We need to move. Now. They rushed through corridors as the station trembled. Reaching a sealed room marked as emergency shelter, they joined other staff members huddled inside. Through a viewport, Ta-1 could see into a laboratory where the artifact was kept behind energy fields. The metallic object pulsed with light, patterns flowing across its surface like liquid. What triggered this? He asked Su-bin. I don't know. It's been happening more frequently. As Ta-1 watched, he noticed something strange. The patterns weren't random. They formed sequences, almost like code. His mind began automatically analyzing them, finding familiar elements despite the alien nature. The station shuddered again, more violently this time. Power failed momentarily before emergency systems activated. In that brief darkness, Ta-1 had a sudden realization. The malfunctions weren't accidents. The artifact wasn't causing random failures. It was trying to communicate. 3 days into his assignment, Ta-1 had fixed most of the primary life support systems, yet new malfunctions kept appearing. It was as if the station itself was fighting against his repairs. While recalibrating a power junction, he met Jin-Ho, a junior Xilarian technician who seemed less guarded than the others. You're quite skilled, Jin-Ho observed, passing Ta-1 a specialized tool before he even asked for it. And you're more helpful than anyone else on this station, Ta-1 replied. What are they really studying here, Jin-Ho? These aren't normal research facilities. Jin-Ho's voice dropped to a whisper. The station was built around something they found inside the asteroid. Something old. I've only glimpsed it once, but... The technician fell silent as another crew member approached. That night, unable to sleep, Ta-1 noticed flickering lights in the corridor outside his quarters, lights that didn't correspond to any normal station function. Curiosity overwhelming caution, he followed them to a sealed door marked Restricted Area, authorized personnel only. Using his repair credentials, Ta-1 bypassed the security system. Inside, he discovered a laboratory unlike anything he'd seen before. Holographic displays showed DNA sequences, human DNA, alongside something alien and incomprehensible. In the center of the room stood a containment field housing a fragment of metallic material that seemed to shift and change as he watched. Most disturbing of all was a display showing his own personnel file, with genetic markers highlighted. He hadn't been randomly selected for this job. They had chosen him specifically. Taiwan stood frozen, staring at his genetic profile. Certain sequences were highlighted in pulsing red, matching patterns displayed on adjacent screens. His mouth went dry as he realized the truth. They hadn't hired him for his mechanical skills alone. A soft hum from behind made him turn quickly. The artifact in the containment field seemed to respond to his presence. Its metallic surface rippled like water, forming patterns that reminded him of circuit diagrams. Taiwan took a step closer, drawn by an inexplicable feeling of familiarity. "It recognizes you," said a voice. Taiwan spun around to find Jin Ho standing in the doorway. "You shouldn't be here," the Epsilon said, but made no move to sound an alarm. "Though I'm not surprised you found your way." "What is this place?" Taiwan demanded. "And why is my DNA on these screens?" Jin Ho entered the room, letting the door close behind. "This is what we really study here. The artifact. And its connection to humans, specifically to certain humans. Like me. Yes, you possess genetic markers we've only found in a small percentage of your species." Jin Ho moved to a console and brought up more displays. "These markers don't appear in any other known species. They're artificial." "Artificial? You're saying someone designed part of human DNA?" Jin Ho nodded. "The evidence suggests humans were modified long ago by whoever created this artifact." Taiwan's mind raced. It sounded impossible, yet something deep inside him resonated with the information. "That's why I was chosen. Director Kang has been searching for humans with your specific genetic pattern. When your profile appeared in the Coalition database, he arranged your transfer here." "To what end? What does he want from me?" Jin Ho looked uncomfortable. "The artifact has been changing, becoming more active. Director Kang believes it's trying to activate fully, but needs the right human to interface with it." As if responding to Jin Ho's words, the artifact pulsed brighter. The containment field flickered. "We should leave," Jin Ho said nervously. "If they find us here." A distant alarm began to sound. Jin Ho's eyes widened. "Too late. They know someone's accessed the lab." The Epsilon moved quickly to the door. "Go back to your quarters. I'll try to erase the security logs." Taiwan hesitated, looking back at the artifact. For a brief moment, he thought he saw shapes forming in its surface, symbols or writing he couldn't understand yet somehow recognized. "Go," Jin Ho insisted. Taiwan slipped out of the lab, heart pounding as he made his way through the corridors. He reached his quarters just as the station-wide announcement system activated. "Attention all personnel. Security Protocol Delta 9 is now in effect. Remain at your stations." He sat on his bed, mind whirling with questions. If humans had been genetically modified by ancient aliens, what did that mean? And what was his connection to the artifact? Sleep was impossible. When morning cycle began, Taiwan reported for his scheduled repair work, attempting to act normal despite his racing thoughts. He was assigned to fix ventilation systems in the eastern section, away from the restricted laboratory. Around midday, Jin Ho found him. "They suspect something," the Epsilon whispered, pretending to help with a panel repair. Director Kang ordered a full security review. "They'll know someone accessed the lab. Can they identify who?" Eventually, Jin Ho passed him a small data device. "Take this. It contains information about the artifact and previous human test subjects." Taiwan pocketed it discreetly. "Why are you helping me?" Jin Ho's four hands worked nervously at his sides. "Because I don't believe in Director Kang's methods. The Coalition wants to weaponize the artifact. But I believe it has a different purpose." Throughout the day, Taiwan felt eyes on him. Security officers appeared in areas where he worked, watching but never approaching. Director Kang summoned him for a progress report, asking pointed questions about his movements during the previous night cycle. That evening, alone in his quarters, Taiwan accessed the data device Jinho had given him. It contained research logs, experiment results, and disturbing footage of previous human subjects who had attempted to interact with the artifact. Most had suffered neurological damage. Some had died. One file stood out, a theoretical analysis suggesting the artifact was not a weapon but a tool designed to awaken dormant genetic potential in humans. The researcher who wrote it, Hajin, had been removed from the project 3 months ago. A soft knock at his door made Taiwan quickly hide the device. He opened the door to find a young female Draxian he recognized from the security team. "Human Park," she said formally. "I am Officer Minji. Director Kang requests your presence immediately." At this hour, Minji's reptilian features remained expressionless. "It concerns a breakthrough with the artifact. Your expertise is required." Something felt wrong. Taiwan grabbed his toolkit, both as a prop and for the tools it contained. "Lead the way." Instead of going to the main research lab, Minji led him through rarely used service corridors. When they reached a maintenance junction, she stopped and checked for monitoring devices. "We have little time," she said, her formal tone dropping. "Jinho has been arrested for accessing restricted files. They know someone was in the lab last night." "You're not taking me to Kang." "No. I'm getting you to the artifact before Kang realizes what's happening." Minji's eyes showed unexpected emotion. "The artifact is changing, evolving. Kang plans to move it to a military facility tomorrow. If that happens, the Coalition will use whatever they learn as a weapon." "Why should I trust you?" "Because like Jinho, I worked with researcher Hajin before she was removed. She discovered the truth about the artifact and about humans." Minji produced a security badge. "This will get us into the main lab. But once inside, I cannot protect you." Taiwan hesitated only briefly. Something inside him, perhaps those modified genes, pushed him forward. "Let's go." As they moved through the station's hidden pathways, the lights began to flicker more intensely. The floor vibrated beneath their feet. Somewhere, alarms started to sound. "It's the artifact," Minji explained. "It's becoming more active, as if it knows something is about to happen. Or someone is coming." Taiwan thought to himself. Taiwan used his mechanical expertise to access the station's classified files. What he found chilled him to his core. The object in the containment field was a fragment of technology from a civilization that had vanished 50,000 years ago. Similar fragments had been discovered throughout the galaxy, all containing the same warning: a cosmic predator that appeared cyclically to harvest advanced civilizations. Most alarming was the evidence that Coalition leadership had known about this threat for decades, but kept it secret while they studied the artifacts and prepared defenses. When Director Kang found Taiwan accessing the restricted files, the Xilarian didn't seem surprised. "We needed someone with your particular abilities," Kang admitted. "The malfunctions aren't random. They're the artifact's defense mechanisms activating as the threat approaches." "Why humans?" Taiwan demanded. "Your species possesses unique genetic qualities. You specifically were selected for your extraordinary mechanical intuition. We believe humans may be key to activating the ancient defenses." The room seemed to grow colder as Taiwan processed this information. He stood in the dimly lit data center, surrounded by glowing screens displaying images of the artifact and star charts with ominous markings. "How long?" Taiwan asked, his voice steadier than he felt. Director Kang's forearms moved in a complex gesture that Taiwan had learned indicated deep concern among Xilarians. "Based on the artifact's increasing activity, less than 1 standard year. And you kept this secret. A threat that could wipe out all advanced life in the galaxy." "Panic would not serve us," Kang replied. "The Coalition Council decided information should be restricted while we developed countermeasures." Taiwan pointed to the screen showing the artifact. "This is your countermeasure. A fragment of ancient technology you barely understand. Not just one fragment. We have located 17 across the galaxy. Kang moved to a console and brought up a galactic map with points of light, marking each artifact's location. Together, they form a network, a defensive system created by those who faced this threat before. The precursors, Taiwan said, remembering the term from the files he'd accessed. Kang nodded. They were the dominant species 50,000 years ago, advanced beyond our understanding. They vanished almost overnight, but not before leaving these artifacts as a warning and a weapon for future civilizations. The director gestured to another screen showing DNA sequences. The precursors did more than leave artifacts. They modified certain species they believed showed promise. Humans were one such species. Taiwan struggled to accept what he was hearing. You're saying humans were engineered by ancient aliens to fight some cosmic threat? Not all humans. Specific genetic lines were enhanced with unique abilities. Kang's large eyes fixed on Taiwan. Your mechanical intuition isn't just talent. It's a design trait. The ability to understand and manipulate technology at an almost instinctive level. As if to emphasize the point, the lights flickered. The artifact's containment field on the monitor pulsed in sync with the station's power fluctuations. It's responding to your presence, Kang said. Even through the station's systems, it senses your genetic signature. Taiwan felt a chill run down his spine. What exactly is this threat we're facing? Kang touched a control, and a new image appeared. A massive structure, part machine and part organism, shaped like nothing Taiwan had ever seen. We call them harvesters. They emerge from dark space beyond the galaxy's edge every 50,000 years when civilization reaches a certain technological threshold. They consume all advanced life, leaving only primitive species to evolve for the next cycle. How could something like this stay hidden? Surely there would be evidence. There is evidence, but it's easily dismissed. Kang displayed images of destroyed worlds, ancient ruins, and strange patterns in radiation signatures across the galaxy. Most civilizations are too young to recognize the pattern. The harvesters are thorough. They leave little behind. Taiwan studied the images, his enhanced mind connecting dots that others might miss. These power signatures in the ruins, they match the artifact's energy pattern. Yes, the precursors developed technology that could harm the harvesters. We believe the artifacts are keys to reactivating their defensive network. The station trembled, more violently than before. Warning lights flashed. Containment fluctuation in progress, announced the station's eye. Power levels exceeding safety parameters. Kang moved quickly to a communication panel. Security team to artifact chamber immediately. Turning back to Taiwan, the director's voice became urgent. We need your help. The artifact responds to you in ways we don't understand. If you can establish a connection with it, we might activate the defensive network before the harvesters arrive. And if I refuse? You've lied about everything so far. Not lied, restricted information for security reasons. But now. An explosion rocked the station, throwing them both against the wall. Smoke began pouring through ventilation ducts. Director Kang, a Draxian security officer, appeared at the door, scales darkened with soot. We have intruders. They've breached the main airlock. Kang's posture stiffened. Which faction? Coalition military intelligence. They're demanding we turn over the artifact and all research data. Taiwan saw genuine fear in Kang's eyes. You didn't tell the military about this place. The coalition is not unified in its response to the harvester threat, Kang explained quickly. Some factions believe the artifacts should be weaponized against rival species rather than used as intended. They would sacrifice billions to gain tactical advantage. Another explosion, closer this time. The lights failed completely before emergency systems engage. We don't have much time, Kang said. The artifact must be protected. You must decide. Taiwan Park, Will you help us activate the defensive network as the precursors intended, or let the military turn it into a weapon of mass destruction? Before Taiwan could answer, Jin Ho burst into the room, two of his forearms bleeding from laser burns. Director, military forces have reached level 3. They're headed for the artifact chamber. Kang turned to Taiwan, all four hands extended in a gesture of desperate pleading. Your genetic code makes you compatible with precursor technology. Only you can fully interface with the artifact. Will you help us? The station rocked with another explosion. Through the chaos, Taiwan felt something, a faint call, like a distant voice in his mind. The artifact was reaching out to him. Show me to the chamber, Taiwan said, decision made. I need to see the artifact directly. They ran through corridors filled with smoke and panicked staff. Emergency bulkheads were closing as the station's automated systems tried to contain the damage. As they approached the artifact chamber, they heard weapons fire. Coalition soldiers in black armor were exchanging shots with the station's security forces. There's no way through, Jin Ho shouted above the noise. Taiwan spotted a maintenance hatch. There is for a mechanic. He pried open the panel, revealing a narrow service tunnel. This should lead behind the main chamber. As Taiwan crawled through the dusty passage, the voice in his mind grew stronger. Not words, but impressions, danger, urgency, purpose. The genetic modifications the precursors had made to his ancestors were responding to the artifact's call. He emerged from the tunnel into the back of the artifact chamber just as coalition forces breached the main door. Scientists scattered, seeking cover as armored soldiers poured in. Secure the artifact, ordered their commander. Lethal force authorized for anyone who interferes. Taiwan saw his chance while they were focused on the scientists. He sprinted toward the containment field housing the artifact. As he approached, the metallic fragment pulsed with brilliant light, its surface flowing like liquid mercury. Time seemed to slow as Taiwan reached out his hand toward the field. Everything, his doubts, the station, the soldiers shouting, faded away. There was only him and the artifact, calling to each other across 50,000 years of prepared destiny. His fingers touched the containment field, and it dissolved at his touch. The artifact rose, hovering before him, its surface reshaping into complex geometrical patterns that somehow made perfect sense to his enhanced mind. Stop him, the military commander shouted. Too late. The artifact made contact with Taiwan's outstretched hand, and the universe exploded in his consciousness. The next day, a coalition military vessel docked at the station. Admiral Du Hyun arrived with the security team, ordering the artifact to be transferred to a military facility. Jin Ho sought out Taiwan in private. Admiral Du Hyun isn't here to protect the artifact. He wants to weaponize it. The coalition military sees this as an opportunity to establish dominance, not save the galaxy. With Jin Ho's help, Taiwan gained direct access to the artifact. The moment his hands touched the containment field, his mind was flooded with visions, the destruction of countless civilizations, the pattern repeating over millennia. Then came the most shocking revelation. Humans were descendants of survivors from the previous cycle, genetically engineered with specific traits to help fight when the threat returned. Taiwan's mechanical intuition wasn't just talent, it was a designed ability to interface with ancient technology. When Admiral Du Hyun's team began removing the artifact, alarms blared throughout the station. The ancient defense system had activated, threatening to destroy everything to prevent the artifact from falling into the wrong hands. Taiwan stood frozen as chaos erupted around him. The artifact pulsed with angry red light, and every system in the station went haywire. Doors slammed shut, air vents sealed. Warning messages blared in multiple languages. "What's happening?" shouted Admiral Du Hyun, his usually composed face twisted with rage. "Shut it down." Director Kang rushed to the control panel. "We can't. The artifact has taken control of all station systems." The Admiral's eyes narrowed as he spotted Taiwan. "You, the human mechanic." Did you do this? Before Taiwan could answer, Jin Ho stepped between them. The artifact is protecting itself. It recognizes your intentions. My intentions are to secure this technology for the Coalition. Du Hyun snapped. No, Taiwan said, finding his voice. You want to use it as a weapon against other species. The artifact knows this. The Admiral's hand moved to his sidearm. How could you possibly know my orders? The answer came to Taiwan immediately, though he didn't fully understand how. Because the artifact showed me. It showed me everything. The room fell silent except for the wailing alarms. Even the security team seemed unsure what to do. Director Kang spoke carefully. Admiral, the human has established a connection with the artifact. He's the only one who might be able to stabilize the situation. Or he triggered this chaos deliberately, Du Hyun countered. He gestured to his security team. Restrain the human and prepare the artifact for transport. 2 soldiers moved toward Taiwan. Jin Ho tried to block them, but was roughly pushed aside. As they grabbed Taiwan's arms, a strange sensation washed over him. Knowledge that wasn't his own flooded his mind. Stop, Taiwan said quietly. If you remove the artifact from this station, emergency protocols will activate. This entire asteroid will be destroyed. The soldiers hesitated, looking to their commander. He's bluffing, Du Hyun said, but uncertainty had crept into his voice. I'm not. Taiwan closed his eyes, seeing schematics in his mind that the artifact was sharing with him. The precursors built failsafes into every artifact site. If unauthorized removal is attempted, everything within 10 kilometers will be vaporized. The station trembled as if to emphasize his point. Cracks appeared in the floor. The containment field around the artifact flickered dangerously. Listen to him, Admiral, Kang pleaded. The artifacts were never meant to be weapons. They're part of a defensive network designed to protect all sentient life. Do Hyun's face hardened. The Coalition Council has decided this technology is too valuable to leave in the hands of researchers. My orders come from the highest level. Your orders will get everyone killed, Jin Ho said. The artifact suddenly flared with brilliant blue light. Taiwan felt something pulling at his mind, urging him closer. Without thinking, he broke free from the soldiers and stepped toward the containment field. Stop him, Du Hyun shouted. But no one moved as Taiwan placed his hands against the field. It parted like water, allowing him to touch the artifact directly. The moment contact was made, Taiwan's consciousness expanded beyond the room, beyond the station. He saw the galaxy as if from above, streams of energy connecting 17 points of light, the artifacts. He saw the dark space beyond the galaxy's edge, where something ancient and terrible was stirring. And he saw humanity's true history playing out before him like a recording. 50,000 years ago, as the harvesters began their cycle of destruction, the precursors had fought back. Though they couldn't save themselves, they'd found a way to preserve life for the next cycle. They'd seeded dozens of worlds with modified species, each carrying genetic keys that would one day unlock the defensive network. Humans were one such species, carrying genetic markers that allowed them to interface with precursor technology. Taiwan's mechanical intuition, his ability to understand complex systems intuitively, wasn't just a natural talent, it was a designed feature, waiting for this exact moment. The visions receded, and Taiwan found himself back in the chamber. Everyone was staring at him, with expressions ranging from awe to fear. The artifact now hovered above its containment field, casting blue light throughout the room. What did you see? Jin Ho asked softly. Everything, Taiwan replied. Our purpose, their plan. Admiral Du Hyun stepped forward cautiously. Explain yourself, mechanic. Taiwan turned to face the room. The harvesters are coming. The artifacts are our only defense, but they can't be used as weapons against each other. They must work together as one network. That's not your decision to make, Du Hyun said, though with less conviction. It's not yours either. Taiwan pointed to the artifact. The precursors designed this system with safeguards. It will only function as intended, to protect all life from the harvesters. Any attempt to repurpose it will fail. As if in response, the artifact pulsed again. The station's systems began to stabilize. Alarms quieted. The trembling stopped. "What's happening now?" Kang asked, checking the readings on his monitor. "The artifact is connecting to the others," Ta-1 explained, knowledge flowing into his mind. "It's been waiting for someone with the right genetic key, someone who wants to protect all life, not just their own species." Admiral Do-hyun's communicator beeped. He checked it, face paling. Similar events are being reported at all known artifact sites. Energy surges, systems activations. He looked up at Ta-1 with new understanding. "What have you done?" "What I was designed to do," Ta-1 answered simply. "What humanity was designed to do. We're not meant to fight each other. We're meant to stand together against what's coming." The artifact rose higher, its light intensifying. Through his connection, Ta-1 could feel the other artifacts awakening across the galaxy, each calling to genetically compatible beings nearby. Humans weren't the only modified species. The precursors had created many keys for this lock. "Admiral," Ta-1 said, "you need to contact the Coalition Council. Tell them what's happening. Tell them we need to unite all species, not divide them. The harvesters don't discriminate. They'll consume everyone if we don't stand together." Do-hyun stared at the floating artifact, then at the human connected to it. Finally, he nodded. "I'll report what I've witnessed here, but the Council may not believe me." "They will," Ta-1 said with certainty, "because the same thing is happening everywhere the artifacts are stored. The network is awakening." As the Admiral stepped away to make his report, Jin-Ho moved closer to Ta-1. "What happens now?" Ta-1 watched the artifact pulse with light, feeling its ancient intelligence. "Now we prepare. The harvesters are still months away. We have time to unite the galaxy, to explain what's coming." "And after?" Jin-Ho asked. "If we survive." Ta-1 thought of the visions the artifact had shown him, not just of destruction, but of what might come after. A galaxy united, with humanity taking its place among the stars not as conquerors, but as protectors. "Then we build something better," he said, "together." As the station's systems went haywire and emergency bulkheads slammed shut, Ta-1 fought his way back to the artifact chamber. Drawing on his newly understood abilities, he placed his hands on the containment field and focused his thoughts. "I know what you are," he projected. "I know what I am." The chaotic energy surging through the station stabilized. Through some mechanism he couldn't explain, Ta-1 could feel the artifact's sentience acknowledging him. Information flooded his mind, locations of other artifacts, activation sequences for planetary defense systems, and humanity's true purpose. They hadn't evolved naturally on Earth. They had been created as technological empaths, designed to understand, repair, and improve the defensive systems left by the ancients. Admiral Do-hyun and his security team found themselves unable to approach the artifact as protective fields activated around it. "What have you done?" the Admiral demanded. "What I was made to do," Ta-1 answered calmly. "Fix things." In the days that followed, Ta-1 worked with Director Kang and Jin-Ho to establish a new coalition of species united by their shared danger. Messages were sent to other artifacts across the galaxy, awakening dormant systems. Earth would soon learn of its children's true heritage and purpose. Humanity, the mechanics of the galaxy, would take their place among the stars not as conquerors or subjects, but as fixers, protectors, and the unexpected saviors of all civilization. As the first ships arrived from neighboring systems, answering their call to stand against the coming darkness, Ta-1 looked out at the stars with new understanding. Sometimes, the most important tool in the universe was a good mechanic. Everyone in the artifact chamber watched in awe as Ta-1 communicated with the ancient technology. The artifact hovered before him, its surface rippling with patterns of light that matched the movements of his hands. The protective energy field surrounding them kept Admiral Du Hyun and his soldiers at bay, their weapons useless against precursor technology. "This is impossible," the Admiral muttered, lowering his weapon. Director Kang stepped forward cautiously. "What are you seeing, Ta-One?" "Everything," Ta-One replied, his voice distant as his mind processed vast amounts of information. "The complete network. 17 artifacts across the galaxy, each guarding a different sector, each waiting for someone like me to activate it." The artifact pulsed with brilliant light, projecting a holographic map of the galaxy. Points of light marked each artifact's location, connected by lines of energy that were now growing stronger. "The defense network is awakening," Ta-One explained. "For 50,000 years, it's been dormant, waiting for the next cycle. Waiting for us." Jin-Ho moved closer, fascinated by the display. "Us. Humans. Not just humans, all sentient life." Ta-One pointed to different points on the map. "The precursors modified many species before they were destroyed, creating genetic keys that would one day unlock the artifacts. Humans are just one of those species." Admiral Du Hyun's face showed conflicting emotions, anger at losing control of the situation, but also growing understanding of its importance. "If what you say is true, why weren't we told? Why keep this secret from the coalition leadership?" "Because some would use it for power rather than protection," Director Kang said. "My research team discovered the truth about the artifacts years ago. We knew they could only be activated by beings with specific genetic markers, and that they would only function as designed, as a shield for all life, not as weapons against each other." Ta-One nodded, still connected to the artifact. "The precursors designed it this way deliberately. They failed to unite against the harvesters until it was too late. They didn't want us to make the same mistake." The station's communication system suddenly activated on its own. Messages in multiple languages began broadcasting to all coalition worlds. Not words, but data, evidence of the harvester threat, the purpose of the artifacts, the need for unity. "What's happening now?" Jin-Ho asked. "The network is sharing what it knows," Ta-One explained, warning everyone. Admiral Du Hyun's communicator beeped urgently. He checked it, eyes widening. Reports coming in from across coalition space. Artifacts at other research stations are activating. Energy signatures are off the charts. "They're responding to this one," Ta-One said. "Each activation triggers the next. The network is establishing itself." The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity. Ships from across the coalition arrived at the station, carrying officials, scientists, and military leaders desperate to understand what was happening. Ta-One, now recognized as the first human to fully connect with an artifact, became the center of attention. He worked tirelessly with Director Kang and Jin-Ho to explain what the artifacts had revealed. The harvesters were real. They were coming. But now, the galaxy had a fighting chance. 7 days after the activation, Ta-One stood in the newly established Coalition Command Center that had been built around the artifact chamber. Representatives from 12 species gathered to hear his report. "The defense network is now at 60% capacity," Ta-One explained, gesturing to the holographic display. "As more artifacts activate, our shield strengthens. But technology alone won't save us." "What else do we need?" asked the Xilarian High Counselor. "Unity." Ta-One looked around the room. "The precursors left us the tools, but we must work together to use them. No single species can operate the network alone." Admiral Du Hyun, now assigned as military liaison to the project, nodded in agreement. His initial hostility had given way to respect. "We've already begun coordinating defensive positions based on the artifact's data. Ships are being retrofitted with precursor-inspired technology." "What about Earth?" Jin-Ho asked. "Your homeworld still doesn't know about any of this." Ta-One smiled. "They will soon. A delegation is already on its way with the news." He could only imagine how humans would react to learning their true heritage, that they had been designed as technological empaths, created specifically to understand and repair the most complex systems in the galaxy. Some would struggle with the knowledge that humanity's mechanical intuition wasn't just a natural talent, but a purposeful design. But in time, they would understand what Taiwan already knew. This was not a diminishment of humanity, but an elevation. They had a purpose in the stars more noble than conquest or mere survival. 1 month after the activation, Taiwan stood at the viewport of the station, watching as ships from Earth arrived for the first time. Human representatives, wide-eyed and overwhelmed, came to see the artifact and learn the truth. Director Kang joined him at the window. They seemed to be taking it well. "They're adaptable," Taiwan replied. "It's part of our design." "The other artifacts have all been activated now," Kang reported. "The network is at full strength. Our long-range sensors have detected the harvesters at the edge of the galaxy, but they'll face our united defense when they arrive." Taiwan nodded. "We'll be ready." He thought about the journey that had brought him here, from a simple mechanic sent to fix malfunctions to the first human to unlock humanity's true purpose. The artifacts had chosen well. As Earth's delegation approached the artifact chamber, Taiwan prepared to explain what it meant to be the mechanics of the galaxy, the fixers and protectors of all civilization. Not rulers or conquerors, but something far more important, the caretakers who would ensure life continued to thrive among the stars. For sometimes, as Taiwan had learned, the most important tool in the universe was a good mechanic. The end.